and welcome to the SQV conversation. I'm your host, Shannon Joy McKeel, and today the SQV is proud to welcome one of the Florida Panhandle's most dynamic characters. With me today is Allan Branch. You might know him as Mr. Panama City, but the SQV is where we honor these really cool people that are doing wonderful things in their community. Let's go ahead and get started. Allan, welcome to the SQV.
Thanks for having me.
So we're getting ready for a hurricane up in here in Panama City.
Unfortunately, we are tomorrow.
Yeah. So some people that might not know about this, it made worldwide news, but in 2018, Panama City got knocked. And a little hurricane known by Hurricane Michael. And when there's a storm in the Gulf that's coming this way, people get really anxious now. That was a big deal. So, Allan, I don't want to get too deep into this, but can you tell us what you experienced that day and what life has been living in this area since then?
Yeah, so grew up in Panama City since 1980. I was born in 1980, and I've been through lots of hurricanes. And so my wife's from Birmingham, and she always worries about hurricanes. I'm always like, it's just a bad thunderstorm. We lose a few trees. We might lose power for an hour or a day. No big deal. But Hurricane Michael was, we stayed here in our home downtown. And that was the first time I thought I might die that day. I was like, we might not make it through this. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And when we came outside, 80% of the trees in the county were gone. And every single roof my brand new roof had to be replaced. I had a roof that was less than a year old, and no running water for a month, no power for a month. And there's a lot of PTSD, a lot of trauma suffered in that. It was basically a community-wide heart attack. And so anytime the storm starts coming our way, we all start getting nervous. And especially like this one coming tomorrow, starting the same place Hurricane Michael did, low rating of Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, because Hurricane Michael just surprised everybody. We all went to bed thinking it was a 1 or a 2, woke up at a 4, ended up being a 5. And 5 is everybody dies. Like it's bad. And so that's why a lot of people are nervous. It was like a community-wide suffered heart attack, and it feels like you're reliving it. And so there's a lot of nerves and a lot of emotions today and this whole week.
So today is September 25th, 2024. Yeah. Allan and I are both at home, safe, weathering the storm for now. Tomorrow might be a different story. So this is a very resilient community. I lived here from 2005 to 2014, and I interviewed a lot of gentlemen and ladies that like you really care about their community. And I've been watching from afar and coming home whenever possible. And I've really been impressed with your level of care and resilience and level of commitment to the Panama City area. So let's talk a little bit about that. First thing that's a fun thing to talk about, you just talked about your house and how you had to get a new roof. That is the coolest renovation I've ever seen. And I've watched a lot of extreme home makeovers. So can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to buy what you bought downtown and what that looked like over the following construction phase? Yeah,
well, we had sold the software company in 2016. So we had some extra money and we were looking at options. We had honestly, we looked at even moving away, just living abroad and coming back later. And because we homeschool our children, we found this building downtown that I thought it was a teardown. It was $30,000 for a big building downtown, a 3,000 square foot building. And I thought it was a teardown, but it was a full brick wall building. And at the time I was still building software companies and even had a video production company. And we bought this building and I thought, let's turn this into our house. And then we started working on the building and I thought, well, let's share stuff on Facebook or something. And I thought, well, this could be a TV show. I don't even know how to do that. And so we just decided to film a pilot of whatever a pilot would be. And then I made a little landing page on our video production site that had the little teaser video, the pilot, which was like 5 minutes long, and some notes of what we're going to film. And I just started emailing companies to see who was interested. And we talked to Apple TV and Netflix and a bunch of people. And we had Lowe's Home Improvement. They said, yeah, we'd love to buy 10 episodes and put it on our YouTube channel. So if you go to Lowe's Home Improvement on YouTube, you'll search for Our Little Ware Home, and our video series has about 2 million views. And we did our home renovation in about 9 months. I would not recommend, even though Lowe's was great to work with, would not recommend, putting the pressure on yourself while you're trying to build a custom home of filming, because we filmed it, produced it, edited everything ourselves.
Wow.
And I actually had to cancel a really big software project. And so I really lost money in that production. The reason why I did want to do a video series was to do work with the kids. We have two children, and they were probably, 7 and 9 at the time or something like that. So I thought it'd be fun for them. I thought it'd be basically a fun home movie series. Basically, home. We still watch it occasionally with the kids. The kids are very embarrassed by it because they're real little, and yeah, it was an interesting project. And we filmed a few other series for Lowe's as well, not with us in them. Yeah, I'm there's you could create a video production company that just makes content for large brands. That's a feasible business. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We had brand deals with Columbia Sportswear and Duluth Trading Company and Geldwin Windows and just tons of solar company. It was a lot of brand deals. And so it was a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations in that project. So.
What was that building originally? I forget.
Well, the site, not the building, but the site is actually the first school and church in Bay County. So they rolled the little church away in the 40s. The first mayor of Panama City's house is right behind us. It's a historic home, and the town square is behind that. And then they built this building around World War II, and it was a repair center for the Ford dealership on Harrison Avenue. And so there's still a little tiny light Ford logo on the front of the building. So it's just really light. You can barely see it.
It's such a cool building, and every time I go down to the history class bring, which is also your baby, I just marvel at that. And I watched the entire episode. That's why it feels like I know you. Sure. It's the phenomenon of the television and these YouTube channels is people get to know you, and you don't even know that they're getting to know you. So, and we knew each other, but I mean, it's been cool to watch the progression of what you've been doing. So beyond the house, and you're doing a lot of development downtown. Let's talk a little bit about some of the businesses and some of the development and why that's so important to you.
Yeah, so we've been buying properties at a rapid pace. So we've sold a few software companies. My wife and I have bought properties. I've had partners buy properties too. Partners in some of those properties are Chris Kramer and Kevin Wattenberger, who are friends of mine since high school. And we bought one of the projects being the Sap House, which is about 2 blocks that way. It's a historic home built in 1916 that the county wanted to buy after the hurricane. What hurricanes do, what tragic events for a community do, is they force people to make decisions. Like, a community-wide, when everybody's roof gets taken off, you have people that have been talking about retiring, they decide to retire. People who wanted to start a business, it speeds up decisions. And so there were a lot of properties that hit the market at a time where people didn't believe in Panama City because the whole place was struggling. We had trees down still. But this is years after the hurricane. I mean, even years after the hurricane, people still didn't believe in Panama City because it was so messed up. And so we were buying properties fairly inexpensively, putting a lot of money into them. It was basically a new business every year, new business, new buy, new reconstruction project every single year. At the same time, I'm still building software companies too. And so I oftentimes I get so heads down in progress that when I come up for air, I go, oh my gosh, most people don't build a new business every year and a new building and building permits, architecture plans, CO, launch the business, and we've been doing that. We've gotten in the past, since 2018, we've got 2 brew pubs, History Class and El Weirdo, the Sap House, 5 different commercial units on our main street, apartments. We're doing a condo project with a rooftop bar now. We're doing a diner over here with a prep kitchen for both of our businesses. And it's a lot, and it sounds really fun, high level. Talking about it right now sounds very romantic and you get to pick the finishes of these historic homes. And the reality is working weekends, and working at night and trying to keep up and always feeling like you're behind. And, I used to have a really brown beard and now it's gray. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, who's that old guy? Because you really do suffer like brain damage the easiest thing to do. Well, I don't say the easiest. The smarter thing to do is build the same business over and over and over again. Just like almost like a franchise. What's harder is inventing a new business, new building, and it's a new remodel with a new brand. And that's tougher because you're having to learn new stuff every time you do it. Mm-hmm. And so it has been a lot of work. So I don't want to paint such a beautiful picture about super easy. It's been more a tragic story of hard work and never giving up is really the reality.
Dude, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. So you're very ambitious. Obviously, you and Anna are both very ambitious.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the importance of working harder than the other guy, because I know that your work ethic is really strong.
Yeah.
Where did that work ethic come from, and how does that play into your relationships and you just building something really special downtown? And you're basically revitalizing downtown Panama City, and I see it every time I come. It's
yeah. Well, thankfully, other people have inspired us before we got started here. Hughes Salon and Relief Skate Shop were two businesses here that, to me, I didn't even know buildings could look this cool until I saw they did, and I was like, oh my gosh, all these cool brick buildings are simply hidden under stucco and drywall. And so working hard, my actions would make so much more sense if people knew my parents. And I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My grandparents started restaurants and car washes here in the 1950s. There's still a few around that are being run by my cousins and uncles, and my dad sold the car washes here recently. And so I just grew up with parents who, even when I was a little kid, we were homeschooled. There's 5 kids in the family. I'm second to the oldest. And my dad would come home from the full service car wash, and he would say, all right, we're eating dinner. Then we're going to the self-serve car wash to clean it up. And he would take all of us to the car wash. We'd be counting quarters and emptying trash cans in the dumpsters. And we would do that after dinner. And because it was cheaper than hiring someone to do it.
Yeah.
I would hear my parents talk about borrowing money and putting the house up for collateral, and what happens if you don't make the note, they take your home. And I just grew up watching parents work. And we're not smart people. There are no doctors in our family. There's no engineers in our family. There's no attorneys in our family. It's just people that work really hard and relentlessly. Yeah. And that's what I saw. And so a lot of times people say like, oh, look at this thing that you did. And it's natural to me. This chaos, I was born in this chaos. I was born in the life of like, you make up for your lack of intelligence, Allan Branch, by working harder. And so that's how I was programmed. And so it's natural for me. The harder part is turning it off and taking it easy on yourself and giving yourself some grace, those sort of things. Working hard.
Do you have any hobbies, Allan? Do you have any hobbies?
Well, I take hobbies and ruin them and turn them into businesses. And so I turned my hobby of brewing beer into breweries. And for 1 year, I was an art major in college. I started building lamps out of junk that I would find at scrapyards, and I ended up selling $25,000 in lamps that year, and ruined the whole hobby for myself because I was shipping them, and I was like, "What am I doing? It's not even fun anymore." And so the problem isn't the hobby; it's how I want to turn them and make money, and the opportunity is hard. Just enjoying it for the pleasure of having the hobby is hard. Yeah.
And it's, your family's holding on for the ride, and they're learning the same things from you. So keep doing what you're doing. Let's talk a little bit about your ambition for 2025. And then I'll close with this conversation we had about garbage pickup. I think that's a really cool thing. I used to work for a garbage company, so it's important. But so what's going on next year, Allan?
Well, we have a condos for sale at the Mashburn building. That's one of our main projects. We're getting our big loan for that. It's a $5 million loan. We get that in 2 weeks for construction, and we're doing a rooftop bar and restaurant there. I haven't named it, haven't designed it, haven't figured out how we're going to pay for it, but we're doing it. And we're doing a diner over here. So there's lots of construction projects. I'll be filing to run for mayor next year. The election's April 22nd. And I'll probably be filing for that probably in November. Once you file for political candidacy, you have to start filing paperwork every month. And you have some rules around talking to elected officials called sunshine laws. And so it doesn't behoove someone to file earlier or too early. I did announce I was going to do it unofficially about a year ago. I didn't want a bunch of candidates popping up when I had the intention of running. And so that election's April 22nd. And if I get elected, I think I take office sometime in May. So that's just, and then also I'm I'm kind of winding down the software companies I'm involved in. So really starting a new chapter. It's scary. Yeah. Starting a new chapter, and so it's interesting. A lot of change.
Well, anything I can do to help you become the mayor of Panama City, I'm there for it. So I'm excited for you. And let's do this again after you become mayor. And let's do it. Let's do it in our new studio, because by then we'll have all of this stuff together. We got to do it. So we talked about picking up trash, and like like, what are some ways, like the question is, right, what are some ways that anyone can give back to their community?
Right.
And so you just said, your dad and your mom, you guys had these businesses and the kids were always helping, and your kids are always helping. I saw that in my little home. Their kids always had jobs to do. So like there's this pride of home, a pride of family, and a pride of your community. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's cool.
Right. And so a lot of times we look at community pride, right? And we go like, well, if we just were proud of our community, we would have sports teams and we would have big old buildings. But when you say, what can anyone do? Anyone can be proud of their town, and you show that through your actions. And I think most people, especially people like us who sit at desks all day, I have to get my steps in every day. And so I go for a few walks. And I started out just picking up a piece of trash when I would see it, just like, oh, here's a cup here, and throw in the trash. And eventually I got a bucket, and now I have a trash grabber. I've actually gone through about 12 different trash grabbers through the years. I just wear them out, but I pick up trash, and it's kind of, I don't like talking about it, but I do. It sounds disingenuous when you're in a political candidate and you're talking about picking up trash, because it sounds like you have a motive behind it. But the reality is, I think you lead by example. Picking up trash is actually a very selfish action for me. People think it's like, oh, you're doing it for the community. I do it because it makes me feel better.
I know.
I do it because when I get done, I'm like, huh, good for me. I picked up trash. I didn't just walk past it. And so it's also humbling. I think you show people, like, if the leader is unwilling to clean a toilet or pick up trash or sweep a floor, you have the wrong leader. I think leaders should have a humble spirit. I like doing things that are humbling. And so I think it's good to pick up. I like picking up trash, but it's weird talking about it because it seems disingenuous, and I don't want to be that way. So, well,
and the hope is, right, that other people will take that example and have those same rewards. And we want to take care of our community and make it look nice. And, we want to bring more people to the community, and we can't do that if it's trashy. So I think that's great. And I love the way you touched on it. So, Alan, this has been a fantastic interview. Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you or find out more about you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, they're welcome to email me. It's just allanbranch@gmail.com. It's not a very clever email address. ALLANBRANCH. Facebook, Instagram as well. Same thing, Allan Branch on those channels. And I'm usually around. I do reply to emails pretty quick too. So they're welcome to email me with any random questions. Pretty transparent about stuff. So happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, I know that you're going to keep working on Panama City until you don't, and then we're gonna suffer for it. But stay safe tonight, and shoot me a text. Let me know how you guys weather the storm out there, and I'll shoot you a text out here on the west end of the beach, and we'll make sure that we regroup and hang out a little bit before I head back. So
for sure,
it was wonderful speaking with you, Allan. I hope you have a wonderful night, and tell Anna I said hi.
Will do.